Hello everyone, welcome to my video again. And today we're going to talk about the much hyped the SHAMSHERA movie. It released yesterday, the 22nd of July, and was considered a treat to Ranbir Kapoor fanatics or fans or die-hard maniacs, as I can see, especially the lady fans. They simply loved the trailer and the impact it had. We just saw how Sanjay Dutt was instrumental with his own persona as to how a villainry needs to be. It's just a trailer, and I did go and watch it yesterday, and I'm gonna share my unbiased review with you. So let's discuss about the points, pros and cons, what worked for me, what didn't work for me, and what's my personal verdict and what's my personal rating. So the story goes, and it's a period film. We all know that, as it's evident from the making, and it's set in the 1800s and talks about an oppressed community who used to be fighters for the Rajputana army and were defeated by the Mughals, as the history goes. And eventually the British take over, and we know the rest, what happened. But about this particular community, I think it's called Kameran. Kameran is the name of the community that it's talking about. And they settle in a city, in a desert city called Kazi, if I'm right about the name of the town. And it wasn't a bed of roses when they walked into that city, because these people, this community was considered a filth from the upper caste hegemony that we know of, and were made to indulge in menial jobs, no self-respect, no dignity whatsoever. And eventually the treatment meted out to them, they try inflicting it back in the way of rebels. And the leader, no prizes for guessing, the leader is Shamshera, led by Ranbir Kapoor. And for people who have been his fan, you know, and he's a performance actor. I personally liked not his commercial angle, but I personally liked his Wake Up Sid, Rocket Singh, and Rockstar, and more in a commercial love angle. I loved his Ye Jawani Hai Diwani and Ae Dil Hai Mushkil as well. So that's my short list as to where I love his performance, and I was craving for more, that yearning that he will be giving his best, as evident it is from the trailer, and he did not disappoint me. Well, his expression spoke volumes. I mean, especially his eyes, it just moves and it conveys a message. It just narrates the story even if there's no sound bites anywhere. That was an amazing performance. I mean, in and out, his screen presence was magnanimous. Like, he was generous to take the movie in his shoulders and deliver it eventually. So the plot is started by him. I mean, he's the leader, he's the rebel leader, he's a dacoit by profession, as is evident from the movie caption itself, Freedom by Faith, Dacoit by Karma, something, yeah. So more importantly, he tries to gain the freedom of his own people and does a deal with the Britishers. And as we all know, the Britishers back then were ruthless and were narcissistic in their approach, and they just eyed plundering the treasure of India back then. And yes, he gets betrayed, and what happens next is the crux of the story. So that explains the plot points and how the ruling upper class, and there's a dacoitry. I mean, it's a cat and mouse game basically, what happens between the British army, the British police, including the Indian men, and what happens on the other side as well. So the movie is basically a cat and mouse game. And coming to the pros, what worked for me, what seemed really extravagant, was the grandeur, the scale. The canvas was huge and it did not disappoint me, and I watched it in a very good theater in Bangalore, which boasts of Dolby Atmos sound system. And man, I wasn't disappointed. I got goosebumps every time there was a grand visual, the hooving of the horses neighing, the galloping, the dust, the water splashing, name. I mean, it's and the list goes on and on. It was a visual treat in short, and it did not disappoint. And I was charged up. I was like running. The blood ran really hard for me, and I was hoping there's something gonna come across. And well, that grandeur, the background music especially, wow, just wow! It just haunts you, torments you even after you come out of the theater. And need I even mention the villain Sanjay Dutt, as you must have known, the Shuddh Singh character. Wow. I mean, this is an era where the villains get what they have always loved, the attention, the madness, there's no boundary anymore, to be how cruel you can be, the cold hearted you can be. I mean, I could hear whistles, hoots everywhere every time there was a dialogue delivery by Sanjay Dutt especially. Wow, as Shuddh Singh, he's mastermind of it. I mean, it's just a screen presence of Ranbir Kapoor and Sanjay Dutt. And there was an ironical thing that I was thinking when I watched the movie Sanju, which was one of the best performances of Ranbir Kapoor. It's based on a biopic of Sanjay Dutt, and the way he modified himself was just, I was just thinking about it in the back of my mind. And then, wow, it was beautiful. I mean, the screen presence of both when they indulge in a fight, the visuals, everything was amazing. And the cons. What did not work for me? Well, that's a very long list, to be honest with you. Uh, if I should be unbiased, I should say I was a little disappointed. First thing is, was about a little bored about the length of the movie, especially the pre-interval. I mean, it makes you check your watch involuntarily because it's that huge. I mean, I was also thinking, does this movie even have an interval in between or not? Because it was a lengthy movie and I was getting jittery in my seat. I was like, okay, fine, we understand what you're getting at. Please, further. And the storyline narration, I felt it was redundant, especially the dialogues. I mean, we understand they've come from an oppressed community, there have been too many atrocities meted out to them. But that empathy, that sympathy becomes empathy. But does that empathy live? I mean, is that going to sustain throughout the movie? If you ask me, no. Because the dialogues are the same, redundant, just synonyms of different things like filthy creature, you belong to the dirt, maggot, vermin, insect, fly. This is the description to point out at a community with, I mean, we already know what it is, like they're fighting back to restore their glory and dignity, but need it be said repeatedly as it is? They're just shoving their opinion down your throat, which I felt was disturbing. And eventually that empathy, sympathy becomes an eyesore. I mean, you as an audience, you would be like, okay, get it over with, we understand what you're trying to say. And then it's about the music. Well, it might have mixed opinions, but in my opinion, the thing is, every 5 minutes you get a high-pitched voice. I think it was Sukhwinder Singh or not, I'm not sure about that voice, but you don't have to push your story through songs every now and then. There were two item numbers, an n number of them with Vani Kapoor, and it went on and on and on. I mean, it's endless. I mean, at some point you just get fed up. Enough of the songs, enough of this drama, just get to the storyline. The storyline is not moving at all. It's just a cat and mouse game. These guys plunder, the Britishers are looking for them, but they don't. It goes on and on. Eventually, it also reminded me of a few bits from a lot of movies, especially from the movie Chhatrapati a long time ago when they show the slavery. It has some traces of Chhatrapati, some traces of Bahubali, the first part especially, some traces of KGF and the part 2 especially. It's like we have seen this somewhere else, and yeah, it's the same old thing. And regarding the fight with the British, I almost felt bad for the British because we just saw RRR, and how many more movies are going to come with the same genre, with the same storyline, and we're going back in past and romanticizing the past so much. So as an audience, I felt the movie was an average for me, and the verdict was average. The rating that I would give on a scale of 5 would be 2.75. Honestly, no offense to any Ranbir Kapoor fanatics out there. This is just my personal opinion. I loved him in Sanju. I loved him in Rocket Singh, and all the other movies that I already mentioned about. So, but this movie could have been better, is my personal opinion. Thank you all for watching this review end to end. We should talk about more.